I'm your host, Sharada Devi, of the Born to Be Free podcast that serves as a bridge between the ancient and the new era, a confluence of opposites where all is seen as sacred and every experience is meant to catapult you into your supreme destiny.
Welcome. I'm Sharada Devi, your host of the Born to Be Free podcast. I'm here for another episode with a dear guest, dear friend, dear sacred sister, a student, a teacher, many roles. We met first time quite a few years ago through her sister, Paula Purna. Here is today with me Macarena, or also known as Maca Gonzalez, and she is a dermatologist, a medical doctor, a sexual medical doctor. She is also a yoga teacher and a sex priestess, just recently graduated from Mama Gina School of Womanly Arts. And so we've been journeying together for the last few years. I don't know how many years, quite a few years. She joined the Heroine's Journey, I think maybe 5 years ago, one of my programs, a Women's Circle Facilitator course that we are right now including as the foreplay for the Muse, the Golden Womb program. And you joined that and you dove right into it. You loved the topics. You were there with us in the circles, in the topics, diving into the Vedic teachings, the chanting, the women's embodiment. You're just like, yes, this is all my jam. And then from then onward, you've been in my life. You joined the Devi temple. You came to the priestess initiation training to Bali, and you've incorporated so many of these teachings into your own life, into your praxis, working as a doctor also. So, and she's going to be part of our faculty of the third edition of our trauma-informed sacred sexuality Devi coaching certification, the Muse, the Golden Womb program that starts officially in autumn with a foreplay that already started for all those that are already in the course that are joining today, tomorrow, in the weeks and months to come, preparation course, that Heroine's Journey that Maca also did at that time, before we then go into the Navaratri online festival, the 9 nights of the goddess, to celebrate the goddess, celebrate Durga, and then we'll dive into the Muse program where Maca is our trauma-informed spiritual, sexual, medical doctor. Yoo-hoo! So here you are. Welcome, David, dear one. How are you today?
Thank you so much, Devi, for the introduction. I'm so honored to be here. I'm happy, I'm joyful, I'm turned on.
You look radiant.
Thank you, you too.
Is there anything else that you feel like, yes, this part Sharda forgot to mention about you? I know there's so many more, but like a specific aspect.
No, I think you mentioned it all. Yeah, we met 5 years ago
Okay, yeah,
already, 2020. Yes. So, yeah, we've been together. I also joined the Sacred Woman retreat that you did
right.
in Bala. That was the first time we met live, actually.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
yes.
we did quite intimate practice
It
with
was
each other to meet like that.
Yes, yes, it was so beautiful, so deep. And yes, we got to know each other through my beautiful sister, Paula
Mm,
Orna. Yes, so mm, what a blessing to have joined you and all the Sangha. Yeah.
mm,
And also to my yoga teacher training, I also did it with Sanna and Sky, which are part of our Vedic community and Sangha. So everything is very, yeah, juiciously together.
So for those listening and tuning in and those that don't know us and our world, which is not our world, it's just our community. Sangha, like Maka mentioned the word Sangha. Sangha is a Sanskrit word. Often people say Sangha, like with an H, it's actually Sangha, and it means community. It means a spiritual community. And Devi, also we've been calling each other Devis. So for those that are wondering, like Devi and that are new to Devi school. So Devi is also a Sanskrit word. The Vedic teachings that we both adore and love and live by, these values, it comes from the spiritual heritage of India. Not that it belongs to India, but it comes from India. That's where it originated. And then it also traveled far to many places and transformed in form and ways, but the original teachings are in Sanskrit or in Samskritam. Samskritam is the most refined language. It's also known as the language of the gods and goddesses because it's a language that is actually not primarily there for business or transaction. It's a language to a spiritual language to convey the vision of oneness, the vision of wholeness. Like, wow, to reveal the nature of the self, the nature of the world, and the nature of God, Goddess as one being. Like, that's really what Sanskrit language is here for. And so we have a deep value to sometimes use these sacred words because it's difficult to actually find, it's almost impossible to just find one word that translates these Sanskrit words. These Sanskrit words, they're unfolded and descriptive and reveal a whole universe. And so, for example, with the word Devi, yes, the first meaning is goddess. So we're calling each other goddess. And it's not just like a new age thing. There is actually a lot of study that has gone into to understand what this word actually means, goddess, like, and to embody that. That's a whole life journey to embody being the goddess, which Maca's life is all about, and this community is all about, to embodying the gods, the goddesses, the goddesses that we are. So basically, the sacred being that we are. And so the inner meaning of Devi, the Sanskrit root, the dhatu of Devi comes from div. It means to shine. It means to be self-shining. So like a candle, a candle is self-shining. It doesn't need another light to be luminous. It gives, it lends existence, it lends luminosity to all beings. And so in the same way, Devi, she's self-shining. She's self-radiant being, and she gives existence and makes all other beings also radiate. So we are here to shine. When you shine, I shine. When I shine, you shine. We all shine. And this is our life, to embody that, to practice that, to neutralize all these wrong judgments that we have made upon ourselves, that we believed and picked up and learned that we are not gods and goddesses, that we are profane beings, that we are incomplete, not good enough, this deep sense of inadequacy that we are all very well know of. And so here we are, and on this journey to reclaim the Devis that we are. And so I'd love to hear from you, Maca, like, tell us about your journey of reclaiming the Devi that you are. What is
Yeah.
like, where do we start?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Where do we start? Well, maybe just starting with my medicine school.
Mm,
I was always very profoundly curious about the human body and how we function and what it means to have this amazing body, and not only physical, also emotional and vital body of ours. So studying medicine, I started in a very young age, in the first years of the career, to be very curious about other traditions. And I was lucky enough that my university introduced us also to Ayurveda and Chinese medicine. So this concept of whole, of being a whole body, was always very, very, yeah, in there. And
just tell us,
I
where are you from originally for the
oh
listener,
yeah,
watcher, to know
yes,
your background and your roots?
I'm from Chile originally, so I studied medicine in Chile.
Mm,
I'm from Viña del Mar, in the middle of the country, and I have German roots from my mother's family. So we grew up a little bit also with the German tradition. We went to a German school. We learned German at school, and then I decided to study medicine in the capital, in Santiago de Chile. And yeah, after that, I went to Germany. I will talk also a little bit about that. But in my last years of medicine training, I got really, really inspired by quantum physics and then the nervous system. And I read a book called The Quantum Doctor that really answered so many questions and hypotheses I was having. And also seeing that we were, as doctors, sub-specializing and sub-specializing and sub-specializing, I had this feeling that there is important to not forget that we are one body and all the systems are like a waterfall, but also like a domino effect, right? If one system is wrong or has a problem, everything will be affected by it. And I couldn't find in this new era of science so many doctors that were looking at the body as a whole. So I started to study many things on the side. And then I decided to be a dermatologist. I love the skin. I'm fascinating by our skin, our the biggest organ that we have, and also integrating my knowledge with the nervous system. I realized that there is a lot that the nervous system is expressing through the skin, right? And also Ayurveda with the doshas and the type of skin and the hair. Like there is so much I could grab with the skin, and it was beautiful. And on top of that, dermatology includes venereology as the specialization, which is also interestingly in medicine we sometimes we call the specialist, for example, venerology means sexual transmitted diseases. We focus so much on diseases, but I wanted to know also with the nervous system, what can the brain do when the brain is healthy? Or what can we do as sexual beings when we are healthy? So I tend to say that I'm not a venerologist, that I'm a sexual health specialist because I want to bring back the health into the medical system. Yeah. Putting a little bit away the concept that you go to the doctor only when you're sick or you go to the psychologist only when you are sick. Let's go when we are feeling healthy to preserve our health and work with that. So I did that specialization in Germany, in Munich. And when I was ready, I took a year off. I was a little bit burned out, maybe a lot burned out. And I took 1 year for myself. And I went to Bali. We did the Priestess training. I did my Sama yoga teacher training. And I kept studying a lot of things about sexuality. It's so wonderful. It's so incredible. There's so much knowledge there that hasn't been passed. And finally, I decided last year to do 6 month certification program with Mama Gina, Regina Thomas Shower, where we dove into pleasure in all the rainbow. It's pleasure. So now I'm also want to bring that into medicine, into yoga, and all the things I do and we do to make amazing offerings that will help us as humans, women, also men, to know a little bit more about our own bodies. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Mm.
Mm.
To know a little bit or a lot about our own bodies, that are temples and an
Yeah.
incredible universe, a
Mhm.
universe or lingamverse of its own, and that will also be part of your sacred offering in the Muse, to teach the sexual anatomy, the
Yeah.
women's anatomy of arousal. And so before we kind of dive into those aspects that I look forward to dive into,
Mm.
about you, like how was it for you to dive into now specific sexuality and also the spiritual aspect? Is there
Mm.
anything that you feel like, yeah, this is a story that like anyone can relate to, like the heroine's journey story, like that, diving
Yeah.
into the or going into the mud and mulching the shit, and then like this blooming? Is there something that you want to share with us?
Yeah, I mean, oh gosh, it's so rich, it's so much, but yeah, I think for me it was very, very precious and very it touched me to the core to be around people that women mostly, as we did in the heroine's journey, that showed me that I was not alone in what I was feeling. And I think that's a very important part of this whole process. It's to know that you're not alone and there are sisters
And what were
that,
you feeling? What is it that you feel like directly that you can
yeah,
tap into?
I felt a little bit like an outcast in my, not in such a bad way. I've always been very social and I love to go out, but I felt always a little bit of the judgment part, also from my family and my mom at that time, of being too joyful, having too much energy, being too sexual or sensual. Um, yeah, like this part, I grew up with, I grew up knowing that pleasure was something incredible. I mean, I remember one of my first thoughts was, if pleasure and sex wouldn't be incredible, you wouldn't have a whole industry, the porn industry and that
Mm,
moves masses. Like there has to be something really precious about this. And but I couldn't find anyone that could say yes, yes, it's there. In fact, we grew up with this belief or this assumption that sex is something bad and something dirty. And also, sadly, in porn, you see also very masculine approach of sex. So it gives you a little bit, and perform, right? Perform, and is sometimes very misleading. But I couldn't find, yeah, a group or an adult that could say yes, sex is sacred,
mm,
sex, it
mm,
is sacred.
mm,
So that for me was, was a big, when I found you and found these teachings
mm,
and found this approval, it's all right.
mm,
And also studying medicine and putting a little bit the dots together, finding that the very source of turn on, of life force, of Shakti, of creativity, it is inside of us and it's right, in the ovaries. And for me, that was so important. And also, it may seem a little bit simple, but to name the vulva, to name yoni, to have a powerful word for pussy, for vulva, for yoni, for our sex organs and genitals, because I realized that it was so much that has been censored and that has been, yeah, I mean, completely banned, also in the medicine books. And we actually don't know so much about the female reproductive system. So for me, what really brought me back to my power was this approval that sex is sacred, and and it's part of our body, and our body is a marvelous universe.
mm,
So yeah, and sharing that and being in sisterhood,
mm,
being there for each other, that support that we also miss many times as women. The sisterhood wound is very, very important and very, I think everyone has been through trauma, right, and wounds by other sisters, goddesses. So that for me was, yeah, was the beginning. Like,
mm,
okay, full on, this is right. I was right, and also to see that the people that were doubting or a little bit skeptical about this celebrate so much of me today and everything I've done, because wow, yes,
mm,
you were right. This is important. This is
mm,
important. Mm.
mm. Thank you for sharing. I think that's what, is so moving for our listeners, our friends, everyone out there to hear like that. Yes, to be empowered in what you already were. Like, so for example, like if many of us, we are, first of all, we're all naturally sexual beings. We are sexual beings. We come from sex. We come through sex. Come
Yeah.
from sex. We come through the sexes. We come into sex in one way, like the fullness of life, and and that fundamental existence is not one that is recognized as a sacred existence, a powerful existence, a meaningful, wealth existence, this deep sense of lack and disempowerment that we carry so strongly. But then, like, we remember how we maybe were just naturally radiant and happy and pleasurable and wanted to pleasure ourselves, and suddenly, often many sexual traumas also. And when you hear the word trauma, often people just think of rape or death or war. And when we use the word trauma here, we don't refer to that only. That is also included in the word trauma, but trauma represents basically a direct or indirect experience that you in the moment, or I in the moment, or any being in the moment wasn't capable of processing, of digesting, of coping with. And it can literally be a situation like you were told that you're going to be picked up from kindergarten and then you weren't. And that can be a trauma. Like at that moment when I was left at school, nobody picked me up. That was an experience that then I wasn't able to process, didn't have the words for it. And then it goes into my unconscious, it goes into the body, the nervous system responds in a certain way. And then later on, all these events that haven't been processed, they slowly start to, or fastly, depending the circumstances, start to surface again, and we get to face this scenario or situation again, and then process the shock or the stress that we weren't able to process or release or complete that cycle of stress that needs to complete itself. We can complete that at a later stage, which is part of all the work that we're doing to heal trauma or integrate trauma. So
Yeah.
it's a lot to share, that we share a lot about that in the upcoming program. And so, like, just like a trauma, for example, of what I hear often, men, women, students, when we look at the sexual narrative, like I've been touching myself, and then somebody comes in, an adult, and says, "What are you doing?" Like, and in that moment, like we do, like we have a shock, we're tensing the whole body, and we think we're wrong. First of all, we think we're doing something wrong because somebody comes and kind of surprises us in that moment where we're just exploring innocently our body, genital, and the pleasure. And then in that vulnerable moment, somebody may come and then disturbs that moment and says, "What are you doing?" Which kind of implies you're doing something wrong, like the tone of voice, the intensity. So I'm doing something wrong, so I feel guilty for touching myself. And then also I feel there's something wrong with me. Like, why would I be doing that? Because it's in that moment I was touching myself. So there's something wrong with me, something bad with me, maybe something bad with my genitals, something bad with my pleasure. I shouldn't be in
Yeah.
pleasure. So it's so many layers, and like what you said, you naturally were like loving pleasure and sex, and you knew there was something there that must be so special about sexuality. Otherwise, not everyone would go nuts about it.
So of course.
You knew that, and so then when you come, you have this. Wow, yes, I was right. Like I was
Mm.
right, and I feel that I want to celebrate that in you and in everyone that is like just we're right. Like fuck yes, we're right. You know that you
Yeah.
always knew. Just feel that in
Mm.
your guts, in your yoni. You're not wrong.
Mm.
Not wrong. You're right. It's true what you're feeling. And I remember so well also when you were in the classes, and I can see when people come and in the sharing circles, and then often for people it's very difficult to share the first time. There's so many emotions, so much frozenness and shyness. And I remember you so well. You just had this like huge smile and the eyes just like sparkling. Like, yeah. Like always. You were just like, yeah. And still are like the great, great, great celebratory goddess that you are, empowerment. Okay.
Yeah, I remember those circles also
Yeah,
in
I
the
remember them also.
yeah, no, there is something so liberating when people tell you and and celebrate
Mm,
you, yeah, just you and everything you want or you don't want to do. Like you said, trauma is a lot about wrong notions, about not knowing. That's why it's so important, and it has been so important to me to start sharing and educating people, because not even adults know sometimes what they're dealing with. So you get this feeling that, okay, I'm doing something wrong,
mm,
or why should I? And also, I mean, at least in Chile, we're very used to live with our parents until we marry or we go out of the house. But this concept, for example, that exists in Germany or in other places, that you share apartments with other friends, it didn't exist. So even to have sex in a young age, you have to sneak out,
mm,
like everything is forbidden and you have to sneak out and find a place. And there is this, okay, I am doing something wrong, or I'm doing something that it's not right, or it's not
mm,
accepted. And it starts also with the fact
mm,
that we don't know.
mm,
We don't know much about sexuality, especially women. We don't know about our organs. We don't know about how we like to do things. Like Regina says, we lack so much pleasure research, because everything, or a lot of things have been really, really silent and not talked about. So I feel there's a lot of confusion also between men and women. And there is a lot of gray zone that no one, not even in medicine school, I mean, this is a major, when I studied medicine, we didn't study right about the organs. For example, the clitoris, I studied the clitoris later on. In medicine, no one talked about it. Just this, okay, pee there, clitoris. That's not the clitoris. Hello. So yeah, there has been so much.
just mark that. Like, I just
Mhm.
want to like point that out because that's a very important moment. Like,
Yeah.
as a sexual health
Yeah.
advocate and medical doctor. Like, can you just like repeat that again? Like that in the
Mhm.
clitoris,
Yeah.
naked pleasure organ is there as a P, and
Mhm.
also many listeners maybe now and watchers, the awareness is not there that still till this day, and it's still going to take some time, that the clitoris is not just one little pea
Mhm.
or pearl. It's a whole organ with four legs, two bulbs, two legs, and that organ is not there still till this day in certain medical doctors. So when
Yes.
like when you studied, it wasn't there, the complete anatomy of the clitoris in the vulva, and doctors are learning that, and then from there we have.
Yeah. Yeah. So it wasn't there. It's still today in some books, you don't have the complete anatomy of the clitoris there. And it's something that was completely forgotten, or no one really would care about it. And it's very interesting to know that until the first time the clitoris was fully described and right described was in 1990 and 1998
Mm,
by Australian doctor urologist Helen O'Connell. And she was one of the first ones that brought it back, and she brought it back actually. And a lot of studies are from the 2000, and so it's something new in medicine, in our tradition.
and that's why
But
many have also, like when they have plastic labia, there
yeah.
then the women
Mm.
experience after numbness because part of the clitoris is being cut away.
Yes, exactly. And also, it's very interesting to and a little bit embarrassing to know that also the first studies that came from the clitoris, for example, telling that it has more than 8,000 or 8,000 nerves, they were conducted in animals. It wasn't even human studies. So the first human studies came later, and the last human study actually they did a transversal cut in the two branches of the clitoral nerve that goes there. And in each of us, in each of them, they found more than 5,000 nerve fibers. So we know today that the clitoris has more than 10,000 neural fibers. This is all very, very new knowledge. And yeah, sadly, it's not so well integrated still. So it's a very beautiful, I think, the job that we're doing to bring also not only to medicine students, I would love to bring that, of course, to the healthcare system, but first in the community, you know, to keep passing this knowledge from a scientific source, yeah, because yogic and a lot of traditions know this, you know, they know this already, but no one did scientific studies. So today also, at least in the Occidental medicine, everything that is taken seriously is things that were studied, right, and we're conducting like a clinical trial. But thanks God, today we have a lot of sexual studies coming up, but there's so much more to do about it, and also to say that the way that the female sexuality and the female reproductive and genital organs were studied, it's very, very new, not only for us humans, very interestingly, also in the mammal world and in the birds world, sexuality of the species was studied mainly in men, in male species, and not in feminine species. So there's really a lot to discover and to bring back. And one of the most beautiful things this has brought back is to know today that our genitals, they have been considered as a vessel, right? As the passive, as the women is the passive vessel, is the passive one, but that's not true. And it's so beautiful that today we know that the ovaries, the vagina, and the vulva, and all our system has so much to say in terms of reproduction, in terms of, okay, should the sperm pass or not? Should I ovulate or not? I mean, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And it's nothing but passive. It is not a passive system. Yeah.
She chooses.
She chooses.
She chooses.
Word. Yeah, yeah.
Your egg chooses.
It's
Yeah.
true. It's true.
Yeah.
And I think also it's so important because um, it's not this work is not only for women, of course, for women, because we are women, and it's so empowering also to know, you know, who you are and what is there. And it's like knowing all your weapons, you know, or all the different teclas, how do you say, from the instrument, like all the notes of the instrument.
Instruments.
Yeah, but this is also so important for men, because another thing that is coming in this
And
last
all beings, because
all
as
beings
we do it
together,
also, we are
exactly.
non-binary men, women,
Yes,
on
yes, all
gender
together.
conformity people, folks. Yes.
Yes, yes. Because there has been like a little bit of a war between the masculine and the feminine. Today, also, we know that everyone has a masculine and a feminine side. One cannot exist without the other. It's yin and yang. We are masculine and feminine beings. And when we work together, the the creativity that can be found there, it's amazing. So for us to combine our bodies, they are perfectly designed, you know, to have a beautiful, beautiful and organic, harmonious relationship. Yeah.
Yeah.
Male, female as a concept, not as a gender. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yes.
the yin and yang.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's like bringing the opposites together. So if we want to take it like into the spiritual realm, or get it spiritually, what now Maca so beautifully explaining, like these opposites bringing together, yin and yang. You may have heard from the Chinese tradition, Shiva Shakti is the tantric yogic tradition. We have the sun and the moon. That's our here and now, just every day, every night. The sun and
Yeah.
the moon, the sky and the earth, black and white. Like we have these sacred opposites, and what it means, like to bring ultimately, it means to bring everything together, like all the opposites that are there in the world, and bring them together in that one being, in that one self, where all the opposites then, and all the separation really, because like it's this idea of separation that creates these opposites, that creates this duality, has created all this pain and suffering. And so when we bring all these opposites together, we are resolving into oneness, we're resolving into the self, that one self, your being, which is my being, which is your being. There's only one being, one infinite being, one infinite intelligent being. Right? And that infinite intelligent being manifests as all of
This
this.
wonder.
This wonder and these sacred genitals and the sacred organs that we have that are here to offer us pleasure, like
Yeah.
literally to offer us pleasure here and now. Anyone can access pleasure in
Yeah.
reality at any time. That doesn't depend on anyone or anything.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
And that's why, because that's the secret that wanted to be taken away from us. Because if we are all so powerful and if we don't need anyone, how
Yeah.
would the beauty industry make the money they're making? How would the porno industry, the clothes industry, the
Yeah.
any industry, the pharma industry, like how would they make that money if we all would know that we can access pleasure at any time?
Yeah. Yeah. It's huge.
It's huge. So how is that
Huge.
for you? Like, because I know you experienced that very much also working in a hospital. I remember you telling me, I'm working in the hospital, Devi, and I want to bring in some of this information and knowledge, and I cannot go there. And that's why you also decided to become independent
Yeah.
in your career, and or not career, but profession, and open your own praxis now in Norway. She lives in Norway, and she's actually, by the way, also an Aurora Borealis guide. There's also a nature guide. So how cool is that?
Yeah. Oh my
I want to
gosh.
come and visit one day Norway
Yes, you
and see
have
the
to.
Aurora Borealis with you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very special, this place here in the north. Yeah, and Aurora is just magic. Yes, my gosh. Yeah, you were talking, yeah, the hospital. Yeah, it's a tough world. Um, with many doctor friends, I mean, not, I really, many times I was in the hospital and I was asking myself, if I go away, who's going to do this work? I mean, I have such a deep reverence from the doctors that work in the hospital because it's tough. It's so tough. It's a war with a system, yeah, and it's difficult. It would be really so beneficial to everybody there, doctors and patients, if we would bring a little bit of pleasure there. But it's a very dry atmosphere, and yeah, and it's difficult to. The healthcare system has his roots so well, arraigadas in Spanish. They are so strong, the roots and how they do medicine, and especially a little bit the older generation. When you come with change, it's a no. It's very difficult to innovate. It's very difficult to yeah, to be creative. Also because if not all of the doctors, half of them are in burnout or
Mm.
are completely overworked
Mm.
and little rested because it's tough. So yeah, I quit the hospital to start my own practical consult. I work in a medicine center here in Tromsø as a dermatologist, but I also want to open more to therapy, to pleasure therapy, to yoga therapy, like all these things that help our system to come back to the rest and digest mode as we live in a completely overstressed society and with a nervous system that is highly stimulated, the sympathetic nervous system. So we need more of the rest, of the calm, of the parasympathetic activation. Yeah.
Mm.
But it's also what we were talking about. We, yeah, to have access, to that pleasure, to that Shakti, to that power. It has been we today we are completely disconnected to that part, and no wonder we are all overworked and all tired and all frustrated and all performing and over performing because no one taught us how to recharge, right? And it's like you said, it's so easy, it's there, everyone
Yeah.
has access to
Yeah.
it, and it is our birthright, it is our weapon, it's our Sana and Sky said that this green room where
Mm.
you can go and rest of all the roles that you have in
Yeah.
life and just have time with yourself and recharge.
Yeah.
And of course, the more people know about this, also the more powerful it becomes because we're all doing the same and just spiraling us up.
Exactly. We are
Mm.
knowing like deeply, and old beliefs and fears still kick in sometimes. Just talked about that in the recent episode with Luisa, in regards to orgasmic and lovebirds, the importance of becoming a contributor, like where we
Mm.
are partners in success. We're not
Mhm.
competitors.
Yeah.
Because if we're competitors, of course we are in certain fight flight state
Yeah.
where our nervous system is in alertness,
Yeah.
because like you have something that I don't have, I have something that you don't have. So we are here in a challenge, in a wettbewerb, in a race,
Yeah. A
and
challenge. Yeah.
challenge. We're here to win something over. And if I
Mm.
win, like great, and then you will lose. So I want to win. I don't want to be a loser. Nobody wants to be a loser. And we're living in a system that is a competitive system that is based on who is going to win, who is going to make more money, including the pharma industry, the medical, like
Yes.
including the hospitals, who has more turnover. And
Mm.
so it's all based on this fundamental wrong
Mm.
system. So if everything is founded on this wrong system, it's not even possible to really provide
Ex-
true health care and health
mm.
wellness because it's already based on something that is wrong. Wrong in the sense it's fallible, it has no possibility to sustain. And
Yeah.
so if there is not a solid foundation of we are here in this together, like you and I, we are here, one being, the same being, we're not fighting against each other, we're not
Mm.
competing against each other. And yes, it comes up, like yes,
Mm.
that's also part of the muse and all the programs. We're honoring, acknowledging, embracing competition, jealousy. It's all there in our psyche, but we're not shaming us. We're not in
Yeah.
denial of it. We're acknowledging it. We're going through the pain of it. Like it's
Mm.
so fucking painful. Like, and I'm using this word with deepest, utmost reverence. That's like it is so painful. There is
Mm.
so much pain there, and we get to make sacred spaces to welcome that pain, be with that
Yeah.
pain, because it is so much of the sacred process is to welcome the pain, process the pain, purge
Yeah.
the pain, embrace the pain, and then And then underneath there is pleasure, there is wholeness, there is love, but you can also bring pleasure already into the processing of pain from the beginning. Those are the sacred tools. So we're
Exactly.
here this together, right? And then
Mm.
while these things come up, but we know that the ultimate truth is we're here one, we're one being, we're not fighting against each other. We want to be continuously be one. Like, I don't want to start here and then end up alone.
Mm.
That's why people commit suicide when they have millions and houses and Ferraris, and but they
Mm.
feel so lonely. They have no one to enjoy all these accomplishments and possessions. No one
Mm.
there to enjoy it with. And isn't it so sweet to be able to be in the joy and in the love that we are together and share our resources? And this is
Yeah.
what the ancient sages and knew and know. That's what the Vedic tradition, the shamanic tradition, all the spiritual tradition knows what is ultimately truly valuable and true. And then from that we play, we create,
Right. Mm.
we offer, and so and then we all win. Like, no
Yeah,
one
exactly.
loses. We all win.
Mm. Yeah. And what you said about the pain, it's so deep and so important also because it has it has also been a misunderstanding in how not to feel your emotions, and it's so drastically important also in the medical field that we know that pain and rage and everything that was completely unprocessed and not felt, these are the things that really get you sick on a physical level. Yeah, there's a lot in medicine when you study. We don't know why this happens. The cause of this symptom is unknown still today by all of us. But if you go back to the source, we will see, and there's a lot of doctors today working with this principle that trauma and all the unprocessed feelings is actually what causes disease, and it is scientific proven. Nothing happens just because. Yeah, that doesn't exist. And what we do in this trauma informed program, and also bringing pleasure to it, as you say, is with the knowledge that pleasure and actually our bodies have we can alchemize, we can transform, we can, take it all and transform it, and also let go when it has to be let go. And that's the key, facing your emotions, not numbness. Also, with a lot of vulva pain, pelvic disorders, facing what is really there and not applying a cream with anesthetic, that will permit you to continue, but without taking care of the problem. So, this is core healing. This is core well being. This is core, yeah, core taking care of your health, and yeah, and longevity and pleasure and joyful, like you said, so we can play in this life,
Mm.
a wholeness and from a turn on place, and not from jealousy, not from pain, not from distress, not from, yeah.
Mm. Yeah. And
Yes.
what is so important, and that's why also like we're having this faculty from different backgrounds and focusing
Mm.
on different subject, even though it's all connected to our sacred sexual erotic existence, and to reclaim that as our power, and then to be able to share that also, uh, and help other people move through that. And so like to understand that we are validating wherever the person is at. Like, so what you just heard now, Maka speaking about, yes, like all the emotions that are not processed and we know now turn into some physical pain. And now I knowing that sometimes the pain is so much that it's okay to use some of the
Mm.
medical Western techniques and medicine, actually, right, which you are also able to prescribe and advise when needed, like to validate that a journey also, that it takes time. That
Mm-hmm.
we cannot just, if we've lived for decades on medication and a certain diet, a certain way, and then we hear all of this, and sometimes we can feel really bad about ourselves, about our choices.
Mm.
So, like, hold yourself, offer that to the universe, know there's circles, and if it's in this program or other programs, so many beautiful circles now to help one to go through that grieving process. It's also a
Yeah.
grieving process because we wake up and realize, like, wow, this was all there all along, and I
Mm.
only hear about this now. Like, why didn't I learn this at school?
Mm.
We all have gone and are still going and will go through these grieving processes, because the more you know how much you don't know and how much more there is to know. And it's just like,
Yeah.
wow, like more and more and more knowledge is power. And so,
Mm.
with just so much tenderness and compassion for this blooming process, and knowing that, like, it takes time, it's a process, and also, like, that's why the medical doctor and having a spiritual medical advocate, sexual health, and also changing that now. You pointed that out, right? The sexual health,
Mm.
uh, not looking at it as a disease, or using those terms. Like, I'm also
Yeah.
changing that term, uh, because much more empowerment to so that one can feel fully seen. Like, same
Mm.
like with contraception, sometimes it can be so triggering for beings that, okay, now they hear it as you shouldn't be on contraception anymore, when they start to hear about natural fertility awareness and how we can
Mm.
track our cycle in a natural way, and that we wouldn't need to take contraception. I mean, it can be an informed choice. And then when
Yeah.
these choices are, yeah, informed, like, and then you can make your own sovereign choice, and there's no shame when we also go towards the medical system. Like, I just had a huge dental surgery a few months ago, and I'm actually made a podcast about it. It's gonna come out soon. Very vulnerably sharing my procedure, and now I'm using some stuff that I wouldn't have ever used 10 years ago,
Mm.
and there's no shame in it. So we can combine and
Yeah.
right.
That's the
So that's
beauty. To combine the best of both worlds, you
yeah,
know. Everything is
exactly.
sacred and everything is there. Everything is utmost sacred knowledge, also with all the technology that we have today in medicine and everything we have access to in form of medications and procedures. And as you said, there is no wrong in using that also. But
Exactly.
it's so much better when you also come with the with the wholeness part, with the fullness of it, and also to understanding yourself and knowing your body better. You can really combine as needed techniques from both worlds, and to have informed choices. It's different than just doing something because everyone is doing it or because I was told to. Right.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. Because we've given so much, with all due respect, but power to the doctors, like,
Yeah, it's
uh,
true. Mm.
society, right? The general society, like, the doctor knows better than me. That's
Mm.
kind of a myth, and that's not true. And the doctor doesn't
Mm.
always know better than you.
Yeah, it's yes, that I think also in the medical world it has been abused a little bit, this power, of the paternalistic doctor. Sometimes even today it goes until the other side, that people don't trust the doctor enough,
Mm,
or come with the
right.
Google or ChatGPT. I know I have. So for us as a doctor, it's very, yeah, it's good to find the balance. But
All right. I didn't even, so people come and, like, I checked on ChatGPT and
yeah,
they're saying this to me, and
yes, yes.
right.
And before ChatGPT, of course,
Mm,
patient Google the symptoms, and they come to the practice and they tell you what they have, and everything. So, but I think it's this work together that is what we have lost a little bit, like to, to work together, to hear, to hear, and also to let, you know, people talk. And yeah, it's a huge problem also with the system that we don't have time. That's a big one. But yeah, the more we work in harmony, the more we will benefit, doctor and patient.
Yes,
Yeah.
let's harmony. Let's play together and be team players.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
finding trust again.
Yeah.
Actually, like finding trust, and trust is earned also.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally, we one shows up, one is committed through their commitment, through their consistency, which is necessary for the healing, the growth. Then one develops trust. That's what is also, yeah, very special. I can say about like this faculty. There's so much trust. We know each other. I know all of you, and I know your work. I know your dedication, your commitment, your consistency. So like, this trust in that path, in those choices, and then coming together and offering a space to those that are ready to dive into this journey of reclamation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sometimes you won't be able to know, like from the mind. That's where you like kind of close your eyes and you come back into your body and you feel, and you let your body, or you let your womb or genitals respond. Like, how does this feel here? How does this person feel? How does these people feel? This program, like, what is my body saying?
Mm.
What are my genitals saying? And they have something to say. They have a lot to say.
Yeah. Yes, yes. They have a lot to say. They
Yeah.
have a lot to say. I think it's beautiful that you pointed out that part of this work is to come back to the trust in the body.
Mm.
Yeah. And also, yeah, it's a story just came into my mind right now, and it was once we were at the Sama Yoga teacher training, and in Shambhala, and we did a walk, and one of the volunteers in Shambhala asked about, I don't remember the question so good, but it was pointing at, why it is said that we have to be logical and respond with the head and with the thoughts, and the heart usually, typical example, you missed your ex or whatsoever, and the heart says call him, but the head says no, logical, don't do it. But it's so interesting that it has been a misconception, because if you ask for example, a shaman or some people from more uh, native traditions, they will say that with the heart,
Yes.
no? And
Yes.
actually it's the opposite. If I am sad, or yeah, and I want to call my ex, it's not the heart that is telling you, it's the old pattern in your head, how you were wired all
Mm.
these years. And okay, just call him. But the heart will tell you, you're whole and complete, you don't need to call him.
Mm.
So there's a lot of
Yeah.
people that have been that think, that listening to the heart or to the feelings, to the passion,
Mm.
it's wrong, and we need to be very logical and very clear of the head, but it's actually a little bit the other way around.
Mm.
A lot of all conditioning, it's in the brain, in the pathways of the neurons.
Yeah.
But the body has this ancient wisdom that
Mm.
we're completely disconnected with most of the time. So to go back to that and to listen, your body can take decisions for you.
Mm. Absolutely.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Mm.
There is so much to discern. Like this is a huge topic you just unraveled that I could like dive into now for a whole other hour. To just give a little bit and then slowly we're gonna wrap it up. Yes, like the body keeps the score.
Yes.
It's a beautiful book from Dutch guy, I forgot his name right now,
Mm.
but how the body keeps the score, like how it's in the nervous system, the impressions or unresolved are stored, and we can tune into the body, listen to the body, resolve the tension and stress. And then what you were saying, like the heart knows, and yes, the heart knows, and we can listen to that heart in so many circumstances. And then are also those moments, yes, where this discernment needs to happen, because sometimes it can be confusing. Like,
Sure.
is it really now the heart, the body, and sexual attraction also? Like, if, for example, there I would only listen to my body, not such a good choice. So there, the discernment of like the mind, like, is this
Definitely.
just sexual attraction chemistry, or is this like, yeah. So yes, like I love this that you bring this in, because, and I think that's what we're also very unique in the Muse Golden Womb, that we have this quality of really dissecting this to detail, because it's really going from like, okay, listen to the body, or listen to the body, listen to the heart, but then go back and discern, because we need
Yeah.
the mind also to discern what is real, what is unreal, what is I, what is not I. And then that's
Mm.
where you need again the mind and the intellect. And so I'm leave it there right now, because it's a
Yeah.
topic to go into. But that's
Yes,
why we're
but
doing it
it's
so
true.
unique, to have these sacred Vedantic teachings, which is really
Mm.
sometimes
Yes.
people overwhelming, because we use the mind so much. But then
Yeah.
all the sexuality and the embodiment and the healing, where we are fully honoring and in the body and listening to the heart and honoring the heart, and let them become friends again.
Yes, of course, it's emerging, and it how it's best to be. It's emerging of the systems.
Yes.
But I was mostly saying that people tend to confuse,
Yeah.
the unconscious, the old habits with the intellect or
Yeah.
with the, yeah. So
Yes.
yeah, Vedanta in this point is wow.
Yes. Yes.
It brings you back. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. But
Very.
absolutely, like in most culture right now, system, societies, we're mainly in the head, and we're
Mhm.
making
Yes.
choices based on the head, the mind, because we need to be productive and we need to do. And productivity gives us, unfortunately, a false sense of security. Like, that's,
Yeah.
we think we're secure being productive, but we're not
Mhm.
really realizing that underneath all this productiveness, this need for being productive all the time, there is this deep sense of insecurity,
Yeah.
this
Mhm.
nervous system that is so heightened and
Yeah. Completely overstimulated.
overstimulated. Yeah. So rest and digest, like you said. And you're
Yeah.
also a specialist on the nervous system. So to have all of that knowledge incorporated. Wow. Thank you so much, Maka. What is your, like we were saying before, the body talks, the genital talk? Is there anything your yoni is saying right now? And she's like, I want to share this.
I am feeling actually really, really yeah, happy and honored to
Mm,
be able to do this.
mm,
It has been in me many, many years already. And now I finally feel that, it's coming and it's opening. And yes, I just feel full yes, and full, yeah, passion. And I feel really, yeah, confident with this offering.
mm,
Yeah, that's what I feel right now.
mm, Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you. Yes. And when I tune into my yoni being another Sanskrit word,
Yeah.
represents the sacred vessel, the womb, the vulva, and so much more. But here right now, when I listen to my womb, yeah, she's just smiling right now, smiling and sweet and calm, and feel so blessed that we in these times can be here and speak about this and learn and share, as there are so many that still cannot talk about this and be in this and are struggling and yeah, occupied with so many other things, basically just in survival mode all the time. And how blessed we are that we are able to dive into this. And for the listeners and watchers in the community, you know, sometimes those feelings may come up like, how can I go into this journey when there are so many people suffering? I need to do something to end this suffering and be out there and be an activist. And that's very noble and beautiful. And if you can and have the skills and knowledge and also take care of yourself, amazing, do that. But you're not meant to sacrifice your own well-being, like your own health, your own sanity, to save others. Actually, like I see so many incredible powerful women that are out there, and thanks God they are, but also they're suffering so much, like and being in burnout and having terrible menopausal symptoms. And it doesn't have to be like that. If it is like that, that's how it is, but you can make a difference. And it's okay. We don't have to be feeling ashamed or guilty for that, that we choose another way, that we choose ourselves. And that can be really, really, it's such a huge step to choose ourselves, because we see so many people not choosing themselves. And we have found pride in being a martyr. Like even mothers find pride in, I've worked so hard, and then even compete with other mothers who sacrificed more and who slept less. And so it's okay to choose yourself and to choose happiness. And yes, so that's what she wanted to say. Thank you very much, Maca.
Thank you, Devi.
Thank you so much. Mm. Thank you, all the listeners and watchers, our students and friends and community and new people, new beings here. Thank you for being here to make it all the way to the end. Let's take a deep breath. Ah, and just let that melt. And another breath. Ah. Mm. Let us know how this episode touched you. Anything that you want to share, write it in the comments. We love to hear from you. Subscribe to the channel, share this episode with your friends and family. And yes, the Muse, you can join today and join already the foreplay. There's already a beautiful group of beings in the foreplay of the Heroine's journey. And we'll be starting in autumn. We don't have the yet fixed dates yet, but somewhere in autumn after the 9 Nights of the Goddess online Navaratri festival that we've done a few years. Very beautiful free festival where Maca will also be teaching. All the faculty will be teaching. And that's in from the 22nd of September to October 1st. Those dates are set because they are in according with the Vedic astrology. There will be in ceremony, in pujas, in rituals, and then be there. And then a few weeks later, we start the Muse container. So if you join now, you get the Heron's Journey included, a one-on-one, and just have still a very good investment price, as then also it will go up as we are refining and complementing, etc. And then there are many other programs. Check out, there's the Devi Temple, a community program, many self-paced courses. And there's a sacred retreat coming up in Sweden also. Maca will be there, so looking forward to seeing you there. And yeah, so many ways to join. And also, yes, Maca, like I think now, like it's mainly for people to come in person to you if they're in Tromsø, or are you offering also now one-on-one online sessions? Just yeah.
Yeah, I will offer. My webpage is almost ready, so I will launch it soon. Yes, to be able to offer therapy and coaching one-on-one internet. I will be also sharing some circles or workshops. Yes, a lot is it's going to come. Also here in Tromsø in Norway, but I will have an online container also. So
Yeah.
excited about it. Yes, I will
Yeah,
share as soon as my page is ready.
we will post it then in the link.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, all the best, everyone. Love you as you are loved, and until next time.
I'm your host, Sharada Devi, of the Born to be Free podcast that serves as a bridge between the ancient and the new era, a confluence of opposites where all is seen as sacred and every experience is meant to catapult you into your supreme destiny. From my heart to yours, deepest gratitude for your presence. May you follow your wildest dreams, live your highest purpose, and expand into the infinite, because that's what you are.